Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Now, its slogan is "Every little helps," but it turns out Tesco's been putting aside more than a little every now and then by delaying payments to suppliers. Britain's biggest supermarket has apologised after the groceries watchdog found it breached a legally binding code by deferring making multi-million-pound payments for as much as 2 years. Fatima Manji reports.
It might be January, but chocolate suppliers are already well into Easter. One place these eggs won't be going, though, is Tesco. When the company previously had a contract to supply the supermarket, the bill went unpaid for half a year, nearly forcing Move-Free chocolates out of business. The owner had to resort to taking out personal loans to pay his staff. Today he found out he wasn't the only supplier affected.
I was speechless that other companies were in the same situation, because at the time it just seemed like we were an oversight to Tesco's and they couldn't be bothered to get around to paying us. But to find out now it happened to lots of people, and it was a deliberate act, not just incompetence. I've lost for words, completely lost for words.
Of course, this goes much further than just one chocolate factory. The regulator said the most shocking thing was just how widespread these practices were, that suppliers of all sizes across various industries were affected. In fact, in one case, a supplier was owed millions of pounds, and Tesco didn't pay for 2 years. Tesco repeatedly held back payments to its suppliers. It would delay correcting mistakes, such as when it sent out double invoices. It unilaterally cut payments to suppliers based on claims it had overpaid them in the past. And it held back fees for promotional campaigns that never took place. All this so it could improve its own financial position. It's the first investigation of its kind by the regulator. But Tesco can't be financially penalised because the investigation was launched before the law gave her this power. As far as Tesco are concerned, they've sort of got away with a slap on the wrist because you can't find them.
I can't find them, but what I have been able to do is to make recommendations. So, for example, I found lots of evidence that they had taken money from suppliers' trading accounts for reasons that the supplier didn't agree with. I've stopped them doing that in future.
And yet, a sign of just how much power the UK's top retailer still has. Of its 3,000 current suppliers, not one has spoken out in the media.
There is a climate of fear. I don't think that climate of fear has gone away. People worry if they blow the whistle or if they tell tales on the school bully, as it were, that they're going to get beaten up on the bus on the way home.
Unsurprisingly, Tesco itself was keen to emphasise how much it's changed.
We have stopped that practice. We've reset, refocused what it is my teams are trying to do in Tesco and reworked completely everything that we do with our suppliers. As I say, the report recognises that and recognises the journey that we're on to rebuild the trust with our supplier base.
Tesco may have got through this investigation without a financial hit, but it still faces a criminal investigation by the Serious Fraud Office. Add to that the small matter of turning around the whole business, and it seems the supermarket will have to do more than a little to help itself.
Well, with me now is the Minister for Small Business, Industry and Enterprise, Anna Soubry. When you read about the myriad ways in which Tesco was taking its suppliers for a ride, what went through your mind?
It was appalling. And it is appalling, and I'm really pleased that something that we introduced in 2013, the Grocery Code Adjudicator, she's looked at it, she's taken a year to investigate it, and she's come out and she has not pulled her punches.
Well, she has pulled her punches, because there's no fine. I know there are reasons for that. She can't levy a fine.
She can now.
What she
But
could
she can't
now.
do it
And should she have done if she could?
But that would be for her to decide. I mean, it is fascinating that the level and scale of fine is up to 1% of turnover. So, potentially Tesco's could have been fined.
Would you have been happy to see
a
big fine for this?
Do you know, to be honest with you, I think the real hit for Tesco's is frankly the fact that you are doing this story. We are having this conversation because there's a huge issue now for them reputationally. And I think a company like Tesco's, they've got new leadership, thank goodness, that gets this. And so they will take a hit on their reputation because they rely...
Will it deter people from shopping at Tesco? Would you think twice about shopping at Tesco?
Well, I mean, I don't shop an awful lot in any supermarket. I mean, I've got a very large Tesco's. In fact, I've got 2 Tesco's in my constituency, one in particular, which is a large one, employs a lot of people. I think it does a good job. It does lots of good community thing. This was a problem, certainly at the top, and then the pressures they put on their management. Most importantly, they've learnt the lesson. They've already changed a lot of their payment practices. I hope that they do some of the stuff that they've introduced right the way across the piece. So, for example, very, 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 very small suppliers will now be paid in 14 days. I'd like to see that sort of change right the way through all their suppliers.
Well, what about other supermarkets? Are you
All
worried?
of them. They should all look. It doesn't matter who you are. You should have a set of practices. You are the sum of the way that you practice and do business. And, you know, that's the sort of Tory I am. I'm one of those caring, compassionate Conservatives that believes in capitalism, but not at any price. And the big companies in particular have an absolute duty to do the right thing by the smaller companies.
OK, so that brings us nicely on to another big, powerful company, Google. Do you think that, well, as Boris Johnson, London Mayor, said, that the amount of tax they pay is derisory?
No, I wouldn't use that expression at all. Look, it strikes me, somebody who's not been involved in this at all, we have to trust HMRC officials. They will have been told, look into this, do a proper job on it. In fact, it was set up by the last Labour government back in 2009. It's taken a long time to do it. And all we can do, all I can do, is trust that those HMRC officials have gone through it properly.
And they've really, when it's 13 million extra tax a year?
130.
130 over 10 years?
Yeah. Look, I mean, you have to assume, we have to work on the basis that those who are charged to do this job have done it properly. If there's any evidence that they haven't, that would be taken very seriously.
Why isn't George
But it has to
Osborne
be an
coming out and defending
independent.
this?
I thought he had.
No, he's gone to ground.
Has he? Oh, I thought
Well,
he
we
said...
bid for him repeatedly and he hasn't come.
That's
and he's
a
not in
bit
the
unfair.
Commons. He hid behind his David Gauke in the
I saw
Commons.
him yesterday.
Wait, he's not answering questions on this in the Commons, is
absolutely
he?
right. He didn't need to go into the chamber yesterday to take an urgent question on this, and he did the right thing, no problem. David Gauke went out more than capable of doing it, absolutely the right thing that the Chancellor did there. So he's not hiding at all. I saw him this morning. I don't think George Osborne's ever one to shy away from things. I think he paid tribute to the fact that the officials had gone on and done the job.
Anna Soubry, thank you very much for joining us.
I've been getting away with it all